what is your philosophy regarding strictly adhering to the U.S. Constitution and the Texas Constitution, state laws, etc.?
My philosophy on adhering to the Constitution is there is strict adherence to the Constitution. It is not a living document. And as a judge's duty is to follow the law, not make law from the bench, not make law based upon our heart, but based upon the facts that are brought before us. So the laws are in place. As a district judge, we do not have the duty, the authority, nor the obligation to make laws or change laws. So we have to rule based upon what is brought before us by the attorneys who should be prepared for their case, based upon fact only and based upon the law.
Yes. Well, I agree with Ms. Jones that the Constitution should be strictly adhered to. It is the basis for what all of our laws derive from. Here's what you need to know about someone you're going to elect as judge. You need to know what that person believes. They can tell you that they think that the Constitution is a document that should be adhered to and not changed. But what you need to know is whether that person really believes that. I have been involved in the conservative movement in Denton County for over 20 years. I believe what I'm up here telling you. I'm not just telling you this because this is what you want to hear. Ms. Jones is a very fine lawyer, and I like her as a person. She decided to become a Republican when she decided to run for this office. So I think that it's very important to know who you're electing and what they really believe, and if what they are telling you is what they actually live on a daily basis.
Do you have any response on this, Jones? You became a Republican just to run for this office?
That's what my opponent is telling you. I became a Republican just to run for this office. I have lived based on the philosophies of the Republican Party. Strong family values. I've been married to the same man for approximately 27 years. We believe in education for our children. Our children are very well educated. I believe that a person should be responsible solely for what they have done and should be self-sustaining of themselves. My husband and I are hard workers, and I will tell you that as a citizen, I had to make a decision on what I was, and as a judge, I stepped back and looked at the facts of my life, and I made a decision on my life regardless of how I'm being judged. And I think as a judge, you have to step back and look at the facts and not favoritism. Some people may not like it, but you have to judge based upon the law and the facts before you at hand, and that is what I've done in my life, based upon the facts of how I've lived.
Okay, question to follow up on that. Being a judge, a county judge requires budget experience. You guys both have budgets for courtrooms. What kind of budget experience do you both have?
Well, my first job in county government was 26 years ago. I went to work in the district attorney's office as a receptionist to put myself through college at night, and I eventually was promoted to office manager in the district attorney's office, and I was the office manager in the DA's office for about 10 years, and so I was responsible for preparing and submitting a budget at that time close to $2 million a year. In the last 5 years, I've been owning and operating a law firm in which I've employed, I have employees that have to be paid, I have bills that have to be paid, and those decisions, there's a very short timeline between those bills that go out the door and the money that comes back in and the bills that have to be paid for that. So I have substantial experience, not only at the county level, but also in running my own business and budgeting.
Prior to becoming an attorney, I was an X-ray technologist for 18 years. I also worked and put myself through law school at night while working full-time in the daytime with 2 children that I had to take care of. So as far as budgeting, I had to budget for my household, but I have not been in a position where I had to budget for government or anything like that. I won't tell you that. But I have had a law practice for 10 years. Well, I have had to maintain a budget and pay bills and pay my employer and provide the things that I need for my office. So my experience is based upon my practice of law and owning my own business as an attorney.
Ms. Jones, with which U.S. Supreme Court justice do you most closely identify, and tell us why?
The Supreme Court justice that I most closely identify is Justice O'Connor, who is retired. But the reason why I identify with her is because she made some decisions that were not favored to a lot of people, but she made those decisions based upon the facts at hand and what she thought was best for the citizens at that time. So as a person who is not tied in with little bitty groups and not having to, show favoritism to parties, I look at her the most because she had to step out, being the first woman and everything, and make some decisions that were not well liked by many.
Yes, well, my favorite justice is Justice Antonin Scalia. He is a strict constructionist. I like his humor, for one thing. I've actually heard him speak in person, and he's a charming man. One of the things that I thought was most telling about his view of the Constitution was he said when he was growing up, he would hear the expression a lot. Older people would say, well, there ought to be a law against whatever they were griping about. And he said over the years, because of the way the Constitution has been convoluted and misused by the courts, that now you often hear the expression, well, that's unconstitutional. And he says, it's something that became common in just everyday conversation, but it reflects the way people have changed their view of the Constitution. And I think he's done a lot to try to bring us back to the proper view of the Constitution. And so he would be my favorite justice.
Here's a good question to both of you. The Constitution of the United States, we have a issue before the U.S. Supreme Court for national health care. The President of the United States has interjected himself into the process by making some comments. Do you think comments by elected officials are appropriate? Since neither one of you are sitting judges right now, do you think it would be appropriate to be swayed by elected officials making comments like that about cases that are pending before this judge?
I think as far as comments made by elected officials, as a judge, again, as I've stated before, you have to based upon the facts and upon the law that is in place at hand. And as a district judge, we're not there to make the law, so there will be no persuasion in my position to make decisions to change the law. It will be simply based upon the facts that are before me at hand and not attempting to legislate from the bench.
Well, certainly a judge is in the courtroom to hear the evidence, to hear the facts that are relayed by witnesses that are brought in through whatever type of evidence that's offered in a case. And that's what decisions should be based on, not based on certainly district judges in Denton County or anywhere are going to have cases that show up in their courtroom about which there will be a lot of public sentiment or a lot of public emotion possibly going on. And you have to divorce yourself from the need to be liked and understood by people and make a decision that's based on the law and based on the facts and based on what you hear in the courtroom and not what people are saying outside the courtroom.
Thank you.
Ms. Shipman, tell us why or why not your party affiliation is an important indicator of your philosophy and influencing your decisions.
Yes, as I've said, I've been involved in the Republican Party in Denton County for 20 years. But I'm not involved in the Republican Party just because I like that label. It's because the Republican Party stands for what I believe. And it's not a perfect political party. There aren't any. It's sort of like having a family. There are sometimes people in it that you do and you don't like. Or there are things about it that you do and don't like. But overall, when I have, over the years and from the time I was 18 years old when I first voted for Ronald Reagan, I had an opportunity to learn about what each party represented, and the Republican Party represented my beliefs and represented my values. And so over the years, I have been involved in the Republican Party because that's what I believe, and it's what I believe is the only hope that our country has, and what I want to adhere to as an elected official in Denton County if I'm honored with that.
And Ms. Jones.
I've attended several of these forums, and I know a lot of you know Ms. Shipman, and you know how long she's been involved in the party, and I feel like some of the questions are catered to show Ms. Shipman in a different light than it would show me, because of the fact that I have not been involved in the Republican Party for a very long time at all. I did make a decision shortly before running to run on the Republican ticket. I'm a sustaining member of the Republican Party. I'm giving my money to the Republican Party. Have not done that in a giving manner to any other party. So I made a decision to run the Republican Party, speak with my husband and talking about our foundation and our principles. That is why I am running on the Republican ticket, not for any other reason, but other than it reflects who we are as people and who I am as a person running for judge.
Thank you. Both you ladies have private practice right now. Well, what burning issue makes you want to leave that practice and all the time you spend nurturing that, trying to grow that business, and go into county work to become a county judge? Yeah.
I tell you, if I had known this primary was going to get pushed back to the length of time that it is, I definitely would have changed my mind, because I've got children and a busy practice that, it was difficult to handle both things at the length of time that we have had. But I've enjoyed that opportunity, and I have managed it. The reason why I'm running is because Denton County has over 600,000 residents in Denton County, and I think they should have options other than the very few options that we have had. Ms. Shipman's husband is a judge at this time, a very fine judge, and I think rather than me complaining about somebody running to become judge or to make a change, that I am qualified and experienced enough to make that change, and that is why I'm running for judge. Sorry, of Denton County, I've got a dry throat. But that is why I'm running, because the citizens need options, and good options, and I am a good option, experienced to serve as judge.
My turn. Thank you. Yes, my husband is a judge here in Denton County. I couldn't be more proud of him. He will be retiring in a couple of years. And if anybody thinks for 2 seconds that he would tell me what to do and I would actually do it, well, you can go ask him. He'd like to figure out how that would work. I have been in private practice off and on for the last 13 years. It is a very rewarding thing to help people, to be involved in their lives for whatever period of time that you are. I view running for district judge and hopefully becoming a district judge as a way to even be involved in that process more. People need people to serve public office who are dedicated to that, who care about that, who want to see that the rule of law is observed. And really one of the most comforting things, I think, for litigants and lawyers alike. Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead. One last question from the audience.
How did you finance your college and law school? And Ms. Jones, if you'll answer first.
I financed my college and law school. I have student loans as well as supplemented my loans with working. I went to law school at night and I worked full-time in the daytime, and I took call as an x-ray technologist while putting myself through law school. And I had a small child, one age 3 and the other one about age 6, I believe. So the finances were student loans and working at the same time, and my husband's income that assisted in putting myself through law school.
I put myself through undergraduate, as I mentioned earlier. I started working as a receptionist in the